We're going to start off with a little story like we usually do. This one, sort of music related. More so, I'm going to talk a bit about the business of MFile. I put a lot of emphasis on, figuring out your values, coming up with a mission, finding out what drives you as a person and using that to elevate your music, elevate yourself as a musician, and to find the people that you want to be speaking not just to, but for, right? That's the mission. Giving people a voice. So that was a big turning point when I kind of started coming back to a lot of that and remembering, like, this is what I want to do it for. That was a big moment, a watershed moment for me in my business. Because there was a lot of clarity that kind of came with that. And I feel like it finally unlocked the beginnings of what it was that I was trying to do. So going all the way back, starting this business, we're coming up on 3 years since I had the original idea to start MFile. The business idea kind of popped into my head. I was going around through all my notes. I've showed you the picture of all my notes from school, and I was trying to go through and organize everything and put it in a way that I could combine all these different lessons and get to the heart of what I needed to be practicing every day, trying to figure out a solid practice routine. And it took days to go through all these different things and try and link lessons together so that I could be the most efficient at my practicing. And then it was like, fuck, I'm having such a problem with all of this. Like, this took so long. If only there was something that did all of this for me already. And ping, light bulb moment came up. And I was like, I'm going to build a website where I can have this stuff. I should be putting this stuff out there. I have so much knowledge in this giant binder that I should be sharing with people. And that was like the moment, right? So it's evolved quite a bit, but starting that process of, okay, I'm going to figure out curriculums and music theory, and I'm going to figure out ways that I can get it. There was an original TV show idea that I still haven't tossed away, but it was, almost like teaching music theory in a way that was very silly, almost like a Pee-wee's Playhouse style thing, but not for kids. Like, make it engaging and silly and weird and wacky so that people are invested beyond just dry music theory. That was a big thing. And we had a baby on the way, and things were really turbulent, and there was a lot of struggle that had to go, and it was on and off for a very long time. But I talked to so many musicians, especially guitar players. Guitar players are bad for not learning music theory. But I saw so many people who were self-taught, and they were really good. Excuse me, sorry. They were really good, and they would get to a point where they would plateau, and they would stall. It's a flicker. I thought I saw a huge cat buzz on me, but anyway, sorry. Very easily distractible. I'm an excitable boy, ADHD. But I saw so many people who were self-taught getting to a point where they stall with their music and their progress because they didn't learn theory, or they only understood a little bit, and they never had those foundations. So they would be stuck, and they would see somebody like myself play and be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is all like really simple stuff in my mind. And I'm like, oh, but I've been playing for 20 years and I've been learning all this for years. And I needed to kind of go back to when I was first trying to figure it out and having those amazing, like, opening the Ark of the Covenant and having the light shine and get my face melted by all this knowledge. I needed to go back to that and bridge that gap between beginner who's no longer beginner. You know, they've put a lot of that aside, but they're not an expert and they want to progress and they don't know how. They're hitting their head on the ceiling. So I needed to find a way to bridge that gap so people could free themselves from that trap, give them the tools to become the musicians they are supposed to be, creating the music they hear in their head. You know, it's not just a smooth catchphrase to get you to buy cola beverages from me. Like, that's my mission. Being able to hear what you have in your head and making it happen, that's a big leap. But when you can do that, you're free. It's true freedom. You can create the music you hear in your head and you make it happen, and it's the best. That's the ultimate goal as a musician, right? So, you know, starting a business and developing new ideas, it's really hard, especially something that's kind of abstract like this. I started learning basic JavaScripting to try website prototypes for testing music theory. That's still coming, by the way. There is a lot of testing website stuff that we are going to put together in the near future. So stay tuned for that. But building those prototypes and learning the basics of how to randomize testing, that was insane. I started with zero knowledge. And I had to just keep going on forums and figuring things out and getting a lot of runaround and non-answers from people, or just being straight up ignored because I was a beginner. And for every solution that I found, there was always like 3 new problems that would come up. And, you know, feel free to liken this situation to any struggle of trying to develop something new or even learning your instrument. Every time you figure something out, you suddenly realize that there's like 3 more things. A solution always has 3 more problems. And it just keeps growing. It's like the Hydra heads, right? But I was constantly doubting myself if I had the ability to do this. I would be like working like an absolute madman to try and figure this stuff out. And I'd stay up all night and I would just be at the computer, and then I would hit a wall and I'd just be like, I don't think I can do this. This is just a waste of time. I wasn't sure if any of the ideas would take off. Like, you know, I'm working so hard in this and it's becoming an obsession, and I'm thinking like, does anybody even really want this? Like, that's the reality of any business owner. You can get so blinded by your excitement for an idea, but is anybody going to pay for it? Is anybody going to be as excited as you? And above all that, I felt really selfish working on my ideas for my business and my music and helping other people, and not something else, like for my family. Like I was like a man possessed, and then I'd look and realize like, oh, I've been on the computer for 2 weeks and like I need to kind of step away and take a break. And it was hard spending any time on this project because like new baby and you know, the kids and Justine and everything, like I would feel like if I'm not giving time to them, then what am I doing? You know, I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good partner. I'm not a family man. And all these doubts were just creeping in my head. So after all this struggling and everything, and several attempts to get into a business program in school, I finally got accepted into business school, a small business and entrepreneurship program, which is very specialized. Because it's not just like, oh, general business. This is about the person that wants to, you know, be a disruptor and start something from the ground up and take a product or a service or whatever and build it for themselves. It was an awesome program. I really loved it. But it was amazing to go there and talk about my ideas and have my ideas validated. You know, like the meet and greet with the teachers and everything. Okay, what's your thing? And talking about it and seeing like the look, like, yes, that's great. That's awesome. That reminds me of something like this. And there's programs I can set you up with mentors and talk with people, and everyone was excited. So it was like finally having these ideas validated was so like, oh my God, okay, cool. Actual business people that are running their own businesses like what I'm doing. So I was acing all my classes, my projects, my exams. I formed a ton of great relationships with the peers and the teachers, so lots of good connections and friendships from all of this. Made a ton of progress developing my plan and my business. And then, of course, middle of March, we get hit with the pandemic. Plans are kind of put on hold. We get locked down, having to finish school from home, the works. And obviously, anybody out there knows how hard that's been. And it was kind of like, okay, I got to focus on the family. I got to focus on myself, make sure I don't go crazy, because it's stress is a real thing and it can really mess you up. And finishing school and getting my classes done online and everything, there was like 14-hour days. I was just pumping through finishing final projects and everything. And so one of the classes was business planning and funding. And the entire term was a project where you worked on a business plan. You had a couple other people work with you if you wanted, but you could select your own business, and each portion was every 2 weeks or so, we would work it out. And this guy, Steven Stunt, incredible professor, and he knows about business. He knows about getting people money and getting funded, and just an incredible dude. Great energy and really funny. First day of class, he kicked me out and told me to fuck off because I brought breakfast in and coffee and I didn't get one for him. So that kind of started a really good relationship. I love the dude, and tons of really good insight. Every 2 weeks or so, I'd get a piece of my business plan back with more advice, how to do this, what to do this, talk more about this. And, so I had this final project and I got really good on it, but there was a lot I needed to revamp, and especially coming up with a lot of things at the core, like I was talking at the beginning, of why I wanted to do the business. It wasn't just about writing some books about music theory. It wasn't just about taking some fairly common knowledge to an intermediate musician and putting it behind a paywall. Like, that's not what I want to sell. I'll be able to sell those things. If you want to get these things from me and take lessons on that kind of stuff from me after we have a real relationship, then yeah, sure. Like, these things will be offered. But the core of the business had to be about the values, the mission, the message, proving to yourself that you can do it, like the mentality of it that I keep talking about, infinite musician mentality. Still got that up here? Yeah. It's upside down for some reason. Like, why? I don't know. I never ever did that. But it's upside down for some strange reason. But there it is. Infinite musician mentality. That program is the center of what I want to do. I want to take people and teach them that you can do this. Like, you can get that music that's in your head, you can hear it, you can have it. So I had to restructure a lot of things, do 2 years worth of financial projections, which if you've ever had to do is insane. Like, how do you guess what your numbers are going to be for 2 years? But a big part of the business plan for school was that it was being done through a specific program, a specific organization. And we would basically have an application to send it in. You could get like $20,000, $40,000, $60,000 in funding for your business. So securing this kind of funding would be insane. Like, obviously, money is crazy tight. People are freaking out. And I'm running the business by myself from home with 2 kids running around and a partner who her hair is on fire because she's trying to take care of the kids and school them at home. So like, we're all on edge all the time. So I need help, obviously. So getting $20,000 in funding would be able to go towards advertising and getting some people to help with scheduling and publishing and, doing all the other stuff, editing videos, so that I can focus on creating solid content, getting all this stuff ready for the show, the podcast, and finish all these courses and these books and all of these things and sell them. Get out and be a salesman time, pull out my old frontman persona and just put on a show and get some fucking money coming in for this business that I believe in. And I know that people are responding to. People want to be helped in this way because nobody thought of helping them in this way. You go to music lesson, you learn, ABCs and hot cross buns, and it's never like, okay, let's figure out why you're doing this. What's the why behind this? What's your motivation? Having some kind of compass point to guide you. How do you build an audience? How do you make songs that make an impact? Nobody teaches that. So getting this together would be able to keep the business running in a way that wouldn't make me spontaneously combust, to say the least. So I was really nervous about submitting a business plan because asking for 20 grand, that's a lot of fucking money. And it's public money. And I gotta, have everything in a row. And somehow I felt like I wasn't prepared enough, even though I had high marks on the plan. And I've been thinking about this for so long and making changes and adjustments. And I spent a couple weeks reworking the plan, running financial projections, all that stuff. I submitted. The mediator was really impressed. She said it was really comprehensive and thorough and everything looked great. So she put it through to the adjudicators. And here's what they said. So the flagship course, Infinite Musician Mentality, it's not a real music curriculum. And having blogs, podcasts, shows, any news or opinion programming would be too high risk and would therefore disqualify me from receiving any of the money. And here's the kicker. If you remove these elements, you would be eligible for funding. I'll just, dramatic pause. Let the reality of this situation soak in on you guys. So now I'm being told that if I remove the elements of connection with an audience, offering advice and life experience from myself and other people from the industry, and most importantly, the infinite musician mentality, which is the foundation of how I want to change our approaches to music. Like, that is the business. That is MFile. Infinite musician mentality, that's what I want to be teaching because that's how we change. And so I was being told that if I get rid of that, then I get $20,000 and can fund growing and expanding my business. So it was shocking, to say the least, how cliche of a movie moment this was. choose your values or choose the money. So I was, I'll be honest, I was in tears when I got that email. I told Justine about it, and I said, it's not even a choice. Like, it's the fact that I have to turn down the money. Because it wasn't about trying to find a way to get around it, defraud an organization, public money, and trying to find a way that I can still teach these things and do these things and get the money. Like, that's not a question. And it's not, well, I'll just sell some theory books. I'll make a website that teaches you stuff that you can learn for free anywhere. Or that, like, literally anybody else is teaching. What's different between me and anybody else? Who cares? Come learn about scales. Come learn about fucking chords and shit. Like, it wasn't a choice. And you may think I'm insane. Like, but when you're in that position, like, I guess it really just kind of showed me what I was here to do, why I'm doing it. How much did it mean to me, really? Well, it meant a lot, because I could not think of a situation where I build a business with money that I got forsaking the values and the mission of the business. It's one thing to change a couple things around. I've been doing that since I started, but it's been towards the core values. It's been towards the mission. Finding the best possible way to lift people up so they can become the musicians that they are supposed to be. If anyone out there has any doubts about me not walking the walk, this is it. I fucking practice what I preach. And I insist that you do the same. Do not forsake your values or your mission. Your mission as an artist is to go out and express things and tell stories and to speak for people. Find those people that need you specifically, who you are, and what you represent. It's not about becoming something else to get people. This is about doing what you have to do because there's no other way. That's why you play the music. That's why you're a musician. That's why you're a songwriter. You become the musician you are supposed to be. You create that music that is in your head, and you do not let anything get in your way. So I wrote them back and I said, that's the heart of the business. I understand, but this is not what you think it is. It's 2020. Social media, content marketing 101. This is it. If you're a business in 2020 and you don't have a blog or a podcast or anything like that, doing live streaming, what the fuck are you doing online? You're wasting your time. But if that disqualifies me, then I gotta withdraw my application because I can't change this. Having this is important. Having the course it's the heart of the business. So, and I had to say no. And this seems like a really cliche thing where you would say it was the hardest decision I had to make, but it wasn't It was the hardest no I had to say because it meant I lost a bunch of money that could have been given to me. But it wasn't a decision, and that's the important thing. You know, it showed me what I was really doing it for. But out of that, I was kind of like, okay, fuck it. Like, I don't want to rely on a bunch of money coming from someone that has that power to say, like, well, change this, 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 and this, because it's too risky. We can't have you speaking your mind. Turns out I don't like that. I don't want to be told that. So I'm sure a few of you are yelling at your TV. Well, why don't you just do one of those things? Do I don't know, one of them Patreon things. So that's what we're going to do. Today we will officially launch our Patreon page for MFile Music Theory. You can go and you can donate, and I'll bring up the website here in a second, but you can go to patreon.com/MFile Music Theory. I'll put a link on the description here. I was considering doing something Patreon for a little while, but I guess this is just no time like the present, right? So here's what we got. I'll pull this page up. So we've got our page, patreon.com, MFile Music Theory. You can come sign up. Oh, so many things that we're going to be doing. Isn't that amazing? So we're podcasting, we're doing live streams, we're writing blog articles, we're making YouTube videos, we got books, and of course there's a membership website in the works, hopefully before Christmas. So your membership levels here, we've got just a $5 donation every month. That's just general support. And it takes a lot to keep everything running on schedule and maintaining any kind of quality. So any bit of support is obviously enormously appreciated. We would love to have some people just pitch in some money and get some more content made. For $10 a month, this tier votes in polls that will decide content topics to be covered on our podcasts here and future videos for the YouTube channel. So you can get early access to content, patron-only voting power, which, you know, $10 a month, you get to tell me what to do. But not in like a, you have to give up your values kind of way. And so we've got a goal here. Once we can get to $500 a month, we will unlock the very special third tier, which is $30 a month. Once we reach this goal, you can access content where you join me in the studio and watch me write and record music. You can see me applying practically what I teach. You can watch me go through the creative process in special content that will only be accessed by you at this tier. So you join me in the studio. That sounds like fun. And you can watch me attack musical problems as they happen and watch how much of it really comes down to inspiration and how much of it comes down to having the tools and knowing when to make the right choices or which choice is the most right for the situation that you want to go for. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I don't want to have to. Like, it kind of sucks that I got to ask people for this, but in a way, it's you are paying to access the content. And there's very special content that you get if you pay for. So we appreciate and love the people that want to be a part of this community. And we know that there's more people out there that are looking for something like this and just haven't found us yet. So our mission right now is to just expand, get our ducks in a row, and start finding people. So if you know people that are scratching their heads about music, send them our way. And I'm not saying make them buy our shit. I'm saying join the community. Come see what the party's about. Like, we want to talk about music. We want to talk about songwriting. And we want to learn from each other. Like, my goal is that we get enough of an active community going that I'm learning from you guys. I get to hear your stories. I get to hear your successes. I get to hear about your approaches to things and maybe some of the questions that you ask in like the groups or, you know, the Patreon thing. What do you want to cover? That's going to get my brain turning in a way that I'm solving problems in a new way, and it unlocks stuff in my brain. Like, that would be the ultimate. It's this amazing community of people who want to become the musicians that they are supposed to be. Make that impact. Create the music that you want to hear in your head. So again, that website is patreon.com/MFile Music Theory. And go check it out. It's launched officially right now. So that's all from that one. I also wanted to quickly mention, funny, that I was going to start with a little of this to explain. The last 2 weeks, the interviews and the podcasts have sounded like shit. And I apologize for that. I didn't want to bring it up really because it wasn't until after when I was editing videos that I was like, what is going on? Why is everything different? I went through all my settings on my plugins. I was messing with the board. I switched every cable. Like, I was trying different connections and everything, and I was going mental. I did so much post-processing on the videos to try and fix the sound, and it was still like garbage. So again, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize that the quality is not where it should be. But I figured it out. My son, that little toddler monster running around, he likes to grab this microphone and pull it down and sing into it. He holds it up to his face and he yells and sings and he looks at me. He's like, Dad, just like you. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's fucking adorable. It'd be more adorable if it wasn't like hundreds of dollars of equipment that he's like totally destroying. But he turned the microphone backwards. I got this Audio Technica AT 2020. If you look up the picture, got a little fluff in my nose there. It's like someone tickling me. Almost sneezed. Sorry. Yeah, if you look up a picture, like, you see the type of mic that it is, but it has a front and a back, and it's labeled clearly. So I was messing around with the cables, and I finally looked, and what was front was actually back. So I have a noise gate and a compressor and everything, like plugins operating on my microphone. And so I'm speaking into the back. It's opening the noise gate, but it's collecting more room sound, and it's collecting like the peripherals of my voice, like only side voice. So it was sounding really hollow. There was like a ring to it, and it was a lot of because it was just struggling to find the noise. So the noise gate would open, the compressor would bring up the volume, and it was a mess. And it really pissed me off because I couldn't figure out what it was. And it was because I was speaking into the goddamn microphone backwards. So you can thank my son. Thank you, boy. Messing my shit up. But I fixed it. I did a quick test right before I went live, and hopefully it sounds better today. So I appreciate your patience. If you want to learn more about any of the topics discussed on today's episode, or if you'd like to expand your horizons so you can make the most amount of impact with your music, please be sure to check us out at mfile.ca.